Hey guys, it's FitandFlo here. Thank you all for tuning into this channel. In today's video, I'm going to do an introduction to ClickUp, one of my very favorite project management tool. I have been enjoying using ClickUp and it has saved me so much time. The fact that I'm doing this video today is because of ClickUp, so I just can't have enough of it, and I decided, you know what, I had challenges when I first started using ClickUp. I'm just trying to understand how to really personalize it for my own project or my own business. So I figured, you know what, since it allowed me to have this much time, why not start to make videos that can sort of explain to people how I understood it. That way it's much easier and helpful for other people to get started with ClickUp as well. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is ClickUp? Well, ClickUp is a project management tool that helps teams or businesses to stay organized and to also collaborate together, essentially in real time. For me personally, I started using ClickUp by myself, in my own personal projects, and it has saved me tons of time. It has helped me to feel at ease because now I know everything that's happening in my life, in my business. Yes, it's good to have a calendar, but I feel like just having a project management tool like ClickUp just makes you feel like you're in control of the things that you have to do, and it's been amazing. You might also be wondering, why would I want to use ClickUp instead of like any other project management tool? Well, ClickUp claims that they are an all-in-one solution, which I absolutely believe. I feel like I have used a lot of project management too, but they weren't quite, you just feel like something is missing. It's almost like being in a relationship with somebody. You're in a relationship with somebody, but then you feel like something is just not there. Yes, it's good, it's okay, but it's just not. Something is just and when I got to use ClickUp, I was just like, yeah, that feels right. That just feels right. Okay. To be honest, when I first started trying to learn how to use ClickUp, it wasn't the easiest thing to learn. Okay. I was frustrated. I was like, what the heck? Like, how do I do this? Like, what is this? How can I use it to my own business? Should I copy other people's templates? Like, I was just so frustrated just trying to learn ClickUp. But once I understood and I took my time to really learn, what it can do for me, I was blown away. And then once I started to really personalize it to my own way of working, it really saved me a lot of time and made me stay organized. So that's a reason why you might want to try, ClickUp compared to, Monday.com or whatever you might be using. You can literally mold it to suit the way you like doing things. So it's amazing. Another thing that I liked about ClickUp is that it can integrate with so many tools. And if it doesn't integrate with it directly, you can use other, integration tools like Zapier or Make.com, which saves you, again, tons and tons of time and money. Last thing that I love about ClickUp before we get into learning the basics is that they have so many views. As in, some people like to view their things in like a calendar view. Other people like things in a list. Other people like dashboards. I don't know, whatever it is, I feel like you probably find the way you like to see things in ClickUp. So that's another reason why I love ClickUp. It's just amazing. Now, this is ClickUp's obviously pricing here. You can see that even with the free version, you get a lot of features. Essentially, when you're starting, to be honest, you don't actually need to upgrade because they're so generous. They literally give you everything in the free version. I think the only thing that's missing here that I can see clearly or quickly is the AI brand, which is an amazing tool, and I really wanted it for myself, so I definitely upgraded for that. Another thing as well that I've noticed that was missing was conditional logic when you're creating forms. I definitely wanted to have more than one form in what I was doing because I like to collect a lot of information through forms, things like referral or application forms and things like that. So that's probably the only reason why I upgraded. Otherwise, you could definitely, I was using the free version for a while before I even thought about upgrading. And I'm still quite new. I've been using ClickUp for less than a couple months, and that's how much I quickly upgraded. You don't have to, but I just felt like I had to. So I always recommend start off for free, learn about it, and see how you go. Now, if you are new to ClickUp and you want to try it out, the link will be in the description down below for you guys to check that out. Now, without wasting so much time, let's get into the dashboard. So what you're looking at here is the ClickUp Workspace. Okay. So the Workspace is it's essentially, think of it as the human body. Okay. And there's a lot of things that are happening within your body that are keeping you alive. So your workspace is like the functional, it's a functional space, right? Just like your body is a functional being. So think of the workspace as the main thing. This could be a project. It could be a business. It could also be just your personal life, personal things that you just want to track and monitor. So that's your workspace. It's the highest level in ClickUp. So, whatever you call it is what you call the whole ClickUp when you're logging into that ClickUp. For me, in this case, I'm calling it FitandFlo. Why? So think of FitandFlo as a business that helps other businesses to implement systems and processes in their businesses. So this is what I'm going to call it for demonstration purposes. I'm just going to go through this menu bar here before we get into creating spaces and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So coming on here, we've got the homepage. Now the homepage is where you will have whatever you want to see in ClickUp, essentially. So your personal list will be things that you're just personally working on. And sometimes when you have other lists in other folders, I don't want to get too complicated here because this is an introduction. You can actually push them to your personal list so you can see them here. Okay. You can also have other views. You can see here, you can manage cards here. You can have so many views, but we're going to look at that later in future videos. So that's your homepage, pretty much like an overview of your whatever task you want to be looking at that particular time or week. Now we also have our inboxes. Now your inbox, essentially, what I've figured is that your inbox is where you get anything that you're assigned to, as in somebody tagged you in it. So if someone mentions you, if someone says @FitandFlo because they're asking for my opinion or they're putting me in a comment, it will come up here. Okay. And you need to read them and you need to resolve them to say, okay, I've read it or I've done that or I've looked at whatever it is that they tagged you in. Now, moving down, we've got docs. Now, docs essentially is almost like Google Docs, but these docs are pretty cool actually, and we're going to look at those in future videos. You can use docs to, I guess, make your SOPs or do your company wiki and write your policies and procedures and things like that and keep them in there. And they are also very searchable in here, and we will look at that in future videos. You also do have dashboards. Again, dashboards is another way to see things, to see what's going on. You can, track time. You have a client's dashboard and things like that. Again, you can see that these ones here are in the business plan, which I do have, and I actually haven't even attempted to really utilize most of these yet. Dashboard is the best way to oversee what's happening and have that visual view of what everybody's doing and whether you're actually progressing in your tasks. We also do have the whiteboard. Now, essentially, whiteboard is pretty much like a Canva whiteboard where you can draw or illustrate things that you want to do. So, for example, maybe before you create your spaces, you might want to use a whiteboard just to map up how you are visualizing the hierarchies in your businesses. As you can see here, you can see that these are graphs and stickers, sticky notes, whatever. It's pretty much like a whiteboard, to be honest, where you can just jot down or do some mind maps and things like that. Clips is a new feature, I believe. This one here allows you to record your screen. For example, if you are collaborating with another team and you just want to quickly show them what's happening on this page, you can essentially quickly create a clip and then shoot that to them. Now, you do have goals. Goals is my favorite thing. However, it took me a while to figure out how can I connect these goals to my tasks so that they can automatically upgrade. But it turns out that some of the goals that I have in here, I have to manually come in here and, update the goal so that it can reflect what I'm doing within those tasks. So we'll talk about goals again in the future. We do have the timesheet. ClickUp does allow you to track your time when you're doing tasks. So if you do have employees or you have people that you're working with and you want to see how long it took them to do certain tasks, or maybe you need to pay them for their hours, you'll be able to do that here as well. So you can see what they've been doing, what they've been working on, and the time it took them to do that. If there's more, I don't think there's more, but if there's more, they'll be here, and you can always pin or unpin. If there's anything that you don't want to see on that, you can just always remove it if you're not using it, just to clear up some spaces there. But if you want more, again, you can just come back and just add those things in. Now, these things are default. They're always there. You cannot, I guess, delete them, but you can hide them for sure. And that's just the default things that come with ClickUp. Now that we've obviously looked at the main thing that comes with ClickUp, the part where you have to now customize and make this workspace your own workspace are the spaces. Okay? Spaces is just here. Now, again, the whole workspace is FitandFlo, and then the spaces are essentially the departments or the teams of things that needs to be done in that workspace. So coming back to my human body analogy, a space is pretty much like body systems, okay? So think of your cardiovascular system, all right? So your cardiovascular system's purpose is to pump blood. And then think of your digestive system. Your digestive system's purpose or function within your body, which is your workspace, FitandFlo. So the function of the digestive system is to get you nutrients or to digest food, to feed you, right? To give you fuel. So you can see how everything is working together to keep you alive. And so the spaces that you're going to create here are pretty much like the departments. You've got your cell system. They do have a function. The cell system's function is to make sales or to do cold calling or outreach. You've got the marketing system, the marketing system or the marketing department or the marketing team or whatever you want to call it. Its purpose is to spread awareness, maybe brand awareness, to attract more clients, whatever the goal is in that marketing system or team. So those are your spaces. So to create a space, essentially all you have to do is come here. You can see this plus icon. It says here new space. So you click on that and then you'll be able to create a new space. You can call it marketing space, marketing system, marketing team, whatever. I'll just call it marketing. Now, I always like to change the icon. I like pink because it's screaming, your marketing, you want attention, right? So I like pink there. I usually like to put this as a marketing sign for me because you're like shouting, you want attention, right? So that's my marketing team. You can put a little description here, what they do. Or for example, if it was your digestive system, you write down what a digestive system does. It focuses on making sure that they take, food from outside and really digest, munch it up and absorb the nutrients and then expel it, So your marketing team purpose is to maybe increase brand awareness or whatever the case might be. You don't have to put a description, but if you want, you can. Now, when you get to this point here, I recommend just use this data because you don't want to have too many statuses and too many default views and too many ClickUps here that you don't necessarily need, okay? You can always add this up within the system. That's why I always recommend to just do this data one and then press create, okay? So now you have created your marketing department, okay? So your marketing department is this one here. And you can see that as soon as you created the marketing department, there's automatically a list within it. So think of list. You can either have list or you can have folders where those lists can stay. But if you only have a few things going on in there, you just need to create a list. Now, I'm just going to create another space. That way it's a little bit more intuitive. I'm going to create another space called the sales department, okay? So you click on that again, do sales. I like to use this as a sales and I like gold because it's like money. It's like you're making sales, right? So I like that. And then I'll save that again, starter, and then create that space. So you can see now I've got my sales department and I'll just do one last one. That way it's kind of starting to make sense. So this one here is called recruitment. Now with the recruitment team or system or department, I like to have a person or people. That way you know that you are dealing with people. And I like green because it's growth. Again, you can customize it to whatever you want. And that's what I normally do. And then I'll just continue and then create that space. So now you can see how we are now building, I guess, our business or our workspace, right? Our ClickUp workspace. So we now have the marketing department, the sales department, and the recruitment department or the HR department. And again, think of them like systems in the human body. So you can think of the marketing as the cardiovascular system, the sales because it gets us client, gets us food, right? You can think of it as a digestive system, and then the recruitment because it really gives us breath. You can call it the respiratory system, yeah? So you've got your systems in here and they're all working together to keep you alive as a human body. So they're really keeping system flow alive, yeah? Without these things, system flow is nothing because what are we doing, right? So that's pretty much about it in terms of the higher level, the spaces. Now, within those spaces, so let's focus on the recruitment space, yeah? So within the recruitment space, you can either have lists or you can have folders where you can keep your list. So I'll create a folder here and I'm going to call it maybe position hiring. So your hiring position, all right? So position hiring, and then I'm going to create another folder just to make a little bit more sense. I'm going to say that this folder is active, maybe active employees. We'll create that in there. And let's just leave it at that, make it easy. So you've got the recruitment department, and you've got your folders here, little functional folders. Think of the recruitment folder as a system of your body. So think of this one here as your respiratory system, okay? Or recruitment system, right? So its purpose is to focus on staff, recruiting, and making sure that we have enough air, right? So that's your respiratory system. We have enough air, we've got enough stuff to get to do what we have to do. If you think of it like if you, are a bit short of breath, you don't have the energy to do things. And if you're short-staffed, like we always are in nursing, we don't have the energy to do a lot of things. And, that hospital or that workspace is just not going to really function in a way that we want it to function, right? So yeah, we've got the recruitment system here, and within that recruitment system, we've got our folders. Okay, so think of folders as your organs. So within that respiratory system, we've got the organs, and for breathing, you need your nose, right? You need your mouth here. You need the lungs. You need the diaphragm, the muscles to really breathe. So those things are essentially these folders. You've got your positions that you're hiring for, okay, and then you've got your active employee as part of the organ or part of the thing within that recruitment. You might have maybe training. Okay, you might have another training folder here. We'll just create another training folder. Training. Let's create that. Now, within those folders, there's something called lists. A list is another place where your tasks live. Okay, so a list is pretty much like tissues. So you got your folders as your organs, right? You've got different organs. You've got your nose, your mouth. Within that nose, you've got tissues that make up the nose. You've got tissues that make up the tracheal. You've got tissues that makes up the diaphragm, right? So your lists are like your tissues. So you've got a list that makes up the hiring process. So what list could you have that makes up the hiring process? So in healthcare, for example, you might be hiring for nurses, right? So registered nurses. That's a list. That's a tissue, part of the hiring positions that you need in that recruitment system. So you might need, let's create another list. You might need enrolled nurses, right, as another tissue of that folder, right, of that organ. Okay, it's a tissue. It's part of a tissue of the organ, and that organ is part of what? It's part of a system, and that system is part of the whole body, right? All right, perfect. And then we might have, let's say we might have assistant nurse, and we might have, perhaps we might even have cleaners. Okay, so these are all tissues. Okay, so tissues, again, we've got, we've got connective tissues, we've got epithelial tissues, we've got the nervous tissues. You have nerves, right? You've got nerves coming into the organ. Okay, that's a tissue. They're coming into the organs, which is the position that you're hiring it. Your cleaners might be your nervous tissues, and then maybe your nurses are your connective tissues. Connect everything together. I don't know. And then your enrolled nurses are your epithelial tissues, if that makes sense. All right. So now you've got all these things happening. You can now see how we're building a structure, right? Looking at the recruitment. Let me put recruitment at the top here so it's easier to see. You can see that we've got our workspace here. Then we have our space, okay, our recruitment space. In that recruitment space, we've got the positions we're hiring for. We also have our active employees, and we also have our training for those employees. It's a whole system called the respiratory system. Now, within each of these organs here are tissues. These are tissues that are put together to create a whole organ, okay? So we've got our nurses, enrolled nurses, assistant nurses, and cleaners. Now, within those lists are what we call tasks. Now, what makes up a tissue? Your cells. So a tissue is essentially clusters of cells, and when you put multiple cells together, they make up tissues. So within the registered nurse, we've got tasks, things that we need to do when hiring a nurse. What do we need to do when we're hiring a nurse? If a nurse applied to our openings on our website or in Indeed or in Seek, they will come up here, or your staff. It doesn't have to be a nurse, but it could be any staff. It could be admin staff. It could be your contractor or whatever. They applied for a position. They will come up here, and their name will show up here. So their name would be, let's say that maybe you've got Mary Smith. That's a nurse that applied, and then you have another nurse called Nurse John Doe, I don't know. And then you've got another nurse called Samantha. So you've got Samantha Knowles. She also applied. So these are the tasks that you need to do. You need to find out whether Mary is suitable for this position. You need to interview them. So those are the things within that task that you need to do. But we'll get into that later on, okay? So now, think of your tasks as your cell. Cells are the building blocks of essentially anything in the world, okay? Your cells are the most important things. So you've got registered nurse position open here, and you've got these applicants that applied via your website, and that's a task. So you've got a task to screen Mary, to screen John, to screen Samantha, and part of that screening includes making sure that they're the right fit for the job, making sure that they've got the right experience, making sure that you check their referee check, making sure there's so many things you need to do within that task. And this task is essentially like a cell. It's a cell. So a cell in the human body, cells, like I said, is the building block. And when you have many cells, you end up having employees. And then when you have many employees, they're doing the job, you end up having a good recruitment system. The job gets done, right? So inside that cell, a cell has, cell membrane. It's got the nucleus, which is like a powerhouse. You've got the mitochondria, you've got DNA in there, you've got your organelles in there, you've got a lot of things going in there. You've got the fluid in there, you've got the cytoplasm in there, you've got everything in there that's really working at that granular, smaller level. It's always the small things that we don't see that are doing the most work, okay? So these are your cells, and there's a lot of things that is going on. If I click on that within that cell, you need to do a lot of things. So now you can create your subtask. These are the things within that cell or within that task. So with Mary, for example, you need to check their resume. Maybe we should do review resume. That's a task. You need to do screening of that person. That's a task. Now you need to schedule an interview, and you need to do a referee check. You need to do onboarding. You need, there's so many things you need to do within that task, and it's going to take a long time to finish what's happening in that task. And once that task is done, it gets passed on into becoming an active client. And then once they become an active client, they will go and do training, and then they now become part of the whole system, working in that business and doing whatever they need to do. So that's it for today's video. I hope I don't know if I even confused you. I probably confused you in understanding the ClickUp hierarchy, but this is the best way I could think of how to really make you think about how you can structure your hierarchies. Again, you don't have to always have systems, like recruitment and, marketing and sales. This could be your personal project. So for example, if I'm at uni, this could be my university work. And this could be let's say this is my university work. And then inside that university work, I've got my folders, which are the units that I'm doing. If I'm at uni, let's say, I'm doing computer science. Maybe I'm doing doing engineering, and then maybe I'm doing human biology. And then within that folder, I might have some assignments that I do in that class. So I might have different assignments that I do, exams or whatever. And then within that exam, I need to learn A, B, C, D. So you could actually essentially organize it the way you want to work or the way you want to do things, and everything will pretty much work out quite well, and it'll be easy to follow. Now, I didn't want this video to be a long video, but I just wanted to explain it in a way that I personally understood ClickUp, and I'm just hoping that if it can actually help at least one person just to understand how to use ClickUp or how to think of organizing their workspace in terms of hierarchies. Hopefully this video has made it easier. If it has made it harder, I do apologize. Please let me know in the comment down below, so that when I make my future videos, I'll try just to stick to the normal way of explaining things, because I like to think in analogy, and I feel like the human body was the easiest way to really compare and contrast with ClickUp. Now, again, if you haven't signed up for ClickUp, I will put the link in the description down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Or if you do have any questions on ClickUp that you would like me to address in future videos, put that in the comments down below as well. Now, without wasting so much time, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have stayed till the end, you're a legend, because I don't know how you can listen to me all day. So that's it from me, guys. Until next time, it's bye for now.